this is where the stalking comment came in, I think. Understanding our customers. And the comment was made was that even as we start to see this new type of Chinese traveller coming, they are still Chinese, and so we must understand them very well. We need to know how they spend their day, what media they're engaging in. Their digital interactions are on different types of digital platforms. We need to know how they're going to research, plan, and book their holidays. For the cities that we have been in for some time, we know that segment very well. We've done behavioural segmentation, we've done a lot of ongoing research in that area, and I'm very pleased to say it lines up with some of the earlier comments and even some of the other presentations at the summit, that for our main cities where we exist around Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, we are looking at affluent couples with household incomes, yearly household incomes of greater than 120,000 RMB, so that's about 20,000 Aussie dollars. They're young, they're 30 to 49, and they are concentrated in these cities where we've been. We know that often they've already travelled, they've got an independent mindset around their travel, and they're really wanting to learn and explore different cultures. So we feel reasonably comfortable about this segment in the cities that we've been in. The research that we're going to be kicking off very shortly is aligning with our geographic strategy, which I'll talk to shortly. So as we go to new cities, we know that ADS is going to be the absolute platform as we go out to new cities and new geographies. Absolutely critical. But we still need to understand and learn those customers as we start to prepare our distribution strategies for the new cities. So we're going to be doing some research to look at what are the differences in those new cities that we're going to go out to the places that we already know, and to learn and understand about those customers and how they plan and book and what experiences they're looking for. Digital's already been mentioned, and the importance of digital. We already do research around understanding the digital environment in China and how rapidly that's changing, because it is changing incredibly rapidly. And so that's a key focus in our research and understanding the customer. Quality has already come up, and it's quality for our Chinese visitors. The department leads the quality stream in this area, and it's particularly associated around our ADS work. And I think it was discussed at the summit that it's planned we'll be doing some more satisfaction work in this area. And so keeping that ongoing monitoring of satisfaction is incredibly important. We believe we've got a role to help the department with our close knowledge of the consumer and what they're looking for. And as part of the research that we're just about to put out, we're also looking very closely at what are the products, the experiences and the services that these new cities are looking for, and also with a quick update on our existing cities. And that sort of information is going to be really important both for Rhett and the work that they're doing, for us in what we're presenting to the consumer, but also working with industry to start to fill those gaps and get strategies around that. The geographic strategy, we've done quite a bit of work on the geographic strategy. We did this with global demographics, and for those of you who were at the summit, it was very pleasing to see Bill Calderwood and Parter have started using the same information. In Bill's presentation, he put up some of the global demographics work. We all know China is huge and a diverse country. We know that the economic growth means that in fact, the faster economic growth will probably be happening outside the main cities of Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai. And so if we stay in those cities, we will not be addressing that economic prosperity that's going to be happening much more broad-based across China. And so that's why we decided we wanted to get a clear geographic strategy and one that was looking out towards 2020. So the work that we did with global demographics was in 600 cities, looking at economic growth, looking at the changing demographics, and looking at household income growth out to 2020. We then overlaid that with other factors such as distribution, aviation, and we've now come up with a plan to 2020. And that's a plan that we'll stage and we'll evaluate and roll out as we move through the years. We're currently in 13 cities, which is shown on the map here. And even those 13 cities we're in now, we're still doing that staged marketing strategy. We are only doing consumer marketing to 5 cities. The 5 cities are Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Hangzhou. The other cities is where we're focusing on getting the distribution chain fully engaged, educated, and supporting the ADS scheme appropriately. What we expect is that as we roll this strategy out, we will go to those next 8 cities with consumer marketing, and then we will move the next range of cities where we will do a distribution strategy. And so you can see it's a carefully staged, rolled out strategy as we get the fundamentals right before we start doing consumer marketing. And as you can see on this slide, the aim is to be moving from, at the moment, what we probably address is about 4 million households where the household income is greater than 120 RMB. And by the time we get out towards 2020, we'll be talking to about 22 million households. So that's the kind of geographic expansion that we're thinking about. Just to let you know, in case you haven't noticed it, Wayne mentioned that the IVS was released last week. For the first time in the IVS, we now have information on the cities and provinces that our visitors from China are coming from. So if you haven't noticed that that's in the IVS, that's very good information. It's only 1/4 of information. The sample size is small. And so we're going to need to wait for that to build up and we get some nice rolling annual data. But it's nice to know that at this point in time, from that first set of data, 65% of total visitors are coming from the top 5 cities and 68% of leisure. So our current strategy of being highly focused is fine. But what we need to do is watch as the Chinese travellers start to move outside those main areas. Aviation development, there was quite a lot of talk about this at the China summit. Obviously, aviation development's critical. As one of the panellists so appropriately said, there will not be high-speed rail to Australia. Aviation absolutely just remains the most critical plank in trying to get our customers here. We are going to first be focusing on making sure those primary, or the initial cities that we're active in are fully serviced. And at the moment, of the current inbound seats, 37% of them come from Shanghai, 44 from Guangzhou, and 16 from Beijing. And recently now, Shenzhen and Hangzhou are also, we're seeing 2% from each of those. So you can see that those are the main places where the aviation is focused, and with time we'll need to look at how the aviation strategy matches an expansion strategy. And then what we also need to do is, at the moment, the Chinese visitors are primarily coming to 3 gateways in Australia. 24% of the visitors, 70% of the visitors come in through Sydney, 24% come in through Melbourne, and with Brisbane recently added, it's now coming at 5% for Brisbane. And that's obviously the current gateways, and we heard some discussion about visions for extending those gateways, which is also an important part of the aviation strategy. Also this year, in March, there was a new air services agreement agreed upon, which increased an extra 8,000 seats per week to come to Australia. And I'll just show you what that looks like. So it's a roll out of the 8,000 seats per week, and it will take until February of 2012 for us to reach that. But you can see that's now given us a bit of space on our aviation capacity. Until those last air services agreements were discussed, it was getting a bit tight. The other thing that this graph shows, which I think is pretty interesting, is the growth across all the airlines in their capacity, bringing them to Australia. And you can see that the different number of weekly services, with China Southern particularly growing recently, now at 24. But it's well distributed, and with Hainan Airlines recently launched in January 2011. The other point, of course, that was mentioned at the meeting is the opportunity that these airlines all have a very large number of planes on order. The sorts of numbers that were discussed was China Southern 336 planes, Air China 261, China Eastern 260. So you think about those new planes coming on board, plus there's going to be planes released because of the changing dynamics in China with the high-speed rail services. So we want to make sure that we're getting as many of those planes pointing in our direction to be building our tourism with China. So just to summarise, China-Australia tourism is strong, and as we have talked about it, it is two-way. And two-way is great because we're learning about each other's countries. We're all ambassadors for each other's countries, and that's an important part of tourism. It has been a very serious investment over the last 12 years, and we see our investment over the next 10 years significantly increasing in the China market. And that's to be addressing what we see as an accelerated growth opportunity from the market. And our strategy has got aggressive goals and aggressive competitiveness targets around it. And it's built around knowing the customer, focusing on quality, focusing on access through aviation, having a clear geographic strategy of how we're rolling it out, but most importantly, building it on that foundation of solid partnership. So just to summarise, thank you everybody. There is the summary of the strategy that was handed out at the summit, and that is available on our corporate website. If you go into the market section, go into China, it got posted yesterday, so that is available for you if you're interested in it. It is, however, a high-level summary, because one of the things that we know in this wonderful digital age is that our competitors are very much looking at our strategic documents that we put on those sorts of websites. And so if there are more details that you would like at any point, we'll be very happy to meet with you, talk with you further, that sort of thing. So that's it. Thanks, Brent.